Welcome to the Let It Bleed podcast, a place where you can hear the liquor-fueled ramblings of two narcissistic wizards who conjure the essence of inspirational people every week and bring it straight to you.
Just how do you plan on doing that? Magic. Motherfucker.
And now for the wizards themselves, David Amaya and Phil Arroyo.
Perfect.
Cool.
What's up, dude? What's going on?
Oh, man. It is good to be back. How are you doing, dude?
Oh, man, a lot of... that was a very, very fast month. I mean, February is a short month to begin with, but it just, like...
We really fucked ourselves deciding February was the month that we're going to take off.
Yeah, that's true. Because
Couldn't be like a September with like the 31 days. No, we're like February. We were way too confident about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a much-needed break, needed to get things together. It was a little bit of, I was able to get certain things done without having to always have in the back of my mind, like, what are we going to be, what's going on this week or what's going to happen. But, I definitely did miss getting on here and talking about stuff and letting things build up to what's going on right now.
Oh, my God.
It's a little...
Yeah.
It's a little difficult to talk right now because of the, anxiety I have with what's going on at this exact moment. Actually, I'm just really like starting to kind of get those feelings I had, and I don't want to speak too soon or be negative, but I'm just like starting to kind of already prepare myself for. I don't know. What are you feeling about this?
Okay. Well, let me at least attempt to be the calm one in the room. Full disclosure, I am very much not, and also constantly panicking. But for this one, there is really no need to sweat yourself out tonight. Because the truth is, we are not actually going to know the results of all this stuff probably for another week, maybe even two, especially in California, in the way that all shakes out. Now, they're projecting a lot of things, and actually right now, as you have seen, and a lot of people who are paying attention have seen, the media narrative coming out of it is it's designed to make me and you shit ourselves.
Right.
Like, that is exactly kind of what's going on, the way that they have framed everything going into this. I mean, the free media that everybody has just piled on to Joe Biden in the last few days is, I mean, I personally think this is borderline malpractice. It's really, it's crazy to watch everybody go all in on this, but this is besides the point, because it looks like we've always been in the best position. Things, percentage-wise, if we're looking at the numbers, the odds are in our favor. It's ours to lose. And it's heartbreaking to watch such a concerted effort from so many people to, put a halt on the movement with Bernie Sanders. But, I would say let's not fall into despair too quickly, because there is so much more work to do. There's so many more states to go through now. Yeah, God, I wish that was more.
I don't know. I hear those sirens in the background though, and I feel like they're probably going to a polling place because people are freaking losing their shit. I don't know.
Yeah, well, polls are officially closed on Super Tuesday when we're recording this.
Yes.
And I did just get an alert to say that they were calling California for Bernie Sanders. So that's good news. That's also it's also kind of what we expected. Really, what I'm really watching are what's going on at the margins there, because this isn't like the electoral math. I don't think gets brought up a lot, or gets brought up enough in the conversation, because it's not a winner-take-all thing, Yeah. If like Bernie Sanders wins, he doesn't get every delegate that is available in the state. And oh God, I'm just looking at the little chart that I pulled aside and downloaded, and realizing oh, okay, California does not have the delegate count on this thing, and that is that's convenient because it's going to be massive, and it's the only one that doesn't show that. And California was in the bag for Bernie originally, so it's like
we lost Minnesota and Ohio, right? The two states that he had won in the last primary elections.
I mean, what's crazy is that like this I've seen how the narrative's kind of starting to play out, and all the early things are talking about, oh, the states, like Joe Biden won 5 states and Bernie only won 2. Not really, mentioning that California and Texas, my God, they have more than the rest of them, like combined. Yeah. Like that is
true. That is true. It's such a. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he's still in all likelihood going to have the delegate lead, kind of coming out of here. But then it's like, okay, there's several other people in the race, and if you hit 15%, if you get 15% of the vote, you get a proportion of the delegates that were coming out of that state. And it's complicated. It goes by county too. So there's what I'm saying is that like there's a lot of strange stuff, and numbers are going to kind of seem weird and kind of seem almost sketchy, But I'm kind of expecting this, and this is part of the process. What I'm afraid of is of nobody having a clear majority to have the nomination going into the convention in June, and that could be a fucking no holds barred slugfest there. And yeah, that's where it could really get ugly.
Do you think the recent dropouts and endorsements of Biden were done intentionally? Like this was planned all the time? Because it's really kind of what's fucking things up right now. You don't think so?
I don't think it was intentionally like set up. I don't think this was like a plan from even a month ago to now, but it's definitely a concerted effort. It was all going to come down to South Carolina, and when it went pretty overwhelmingly for Joe Biden, they just pulled the lever and said, okay, it's the emergency stop Bernie button. We need to have every endorsement out, all these candidates dropping out. Push all of your energy towards Joe Biden. We're going to prop him up just so we can stop Bernie. And to see that happen in such a way, which I'm sure was kind of egged on by, more
media,
establishment members, media, people really interested in preserving the status quo and kind of keeping that narrative going. So it's I mean, it's a hard day for those of us who do support it. It's been a hard couple of weeks watching everybody kind of pile on with a lot of very bad faith attacks. And I know this is the point of the primary. It is to harden the candidate up. It's to strengthen them. And I wouldn't want, I would rather everybody's opposition research get dumped now than have it be dumped by the Republicans in October, and there's nothing to do before we vote the next week. So it's it's rough, but we are actually still winning right now. Things are still going in our favor, and it's important to kind of keep that in mind. But I get it. I'm also here reading the shit, just going fuck. Like, hey man, we just wanted healthcare, Right. We wanted to not die in debt. We wanted to do something about the climate, and the fact that doesn't really seem to be a priority for a lot of people that are throwing their weight behind Joe Biden is, it's a little alarming. And I am also in the back of my mind going, fuck. Okay, I need to start mentally preparing for that to be a possibility. Because I don't see this as like a coup or anything like that. Like nobody has outright stolen anything from Bernie.
It's just that Americans are not ready for actual change. It's not. There's a lot of us that are, but it seems like, you know, the Democratic Party is absolutely, completely splitting between itself, you know, with what they want. It just, you know, there's people that actually want progress, and then there's people who, like you said, just want to maintain the status quo. As long as it's not Trump, then it's okay and it's whatever. But you know, the question and what makes it scary is that, do you really think that Biden is electable? Like, do you think that he would win against Trump?
That's my big issue, is that I don't know. I think Biden has a lot of the same problems that Trump does, and if you put a guy like that up, it kind of takes away your ability to make that argument. I mean, you know, some of the big things that are really mattering to a lot of, you know, voters in these swing states. When you do focus groups, you listen to what they're talking about. A lot of them talk about, you know, preserving, like when they find out Trump is trying to make massive cuts to Social Security and, you know, Medicaid and stuff like that. A lot of people just don't know that, you know, and to that Biden did spend a long time kind of advocating for the same stuff. I'm afraid to take that talking point and that weapon away, you know, from us to be able to use against him, because we would not have the moral high ground there. And I think not having the moral high ground that could have some disastrous consequences coming up in November.
Do you think because Biden's a boomer ass that a lot of fucking people that vote for Trump because they are just like so anti-Bernie or liberal, anti-liberal, that they might actually like kind of settle on Biden and be like, you know what, he's not so bad. He's kind of an old... No.
Never.
Yeah.
No.
That's true.
No. I mean, if this is taught, if these past few years have taught us anything, it's that, like, there is no amount of almost Republican you can be that would get 30 to 40% of the country to come over to your side. Now, there is a significant amount in the margins. That's not to say it like that is always ridiculous, but I think there's a lot of, you know, I think there's a lot of like energy and enthusiasm that you can tap into that I think Bernie has that nobody else in the party is even trying to speak to. And, you know, I think that, and also 4 years of Trump, everybody, you know, not wanting to get, wanting to be done with that. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a real fucking, it's a toss-up. I'm not nearly as confident in a Biden candidacy going up against him in November than I am, you know, with the Bernie one.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I know people have their, you know, their worries about how they think some people will react to, you know, him self-identifying with the word socialist, and that's not an unfounded fear. Like, neither of them are the obvious, perfect choice when the question is who can beat Trump. Now, the polling that was kind of going around, which, you know, at this point, you never really know. You can't always go off those. But, you know, Bernie was the only one that was beating Trump in a lot of these key states. And I think a lot of people are kind of taking that lightly. And so we'll see, man. Like really, I don't think... I think that if Biden wins, it will not be because necessarily that it was, like, taken from us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's just that Americans are not ready yet. Like,
yeah,
they're just not...
I believe...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was probably about to say what you were going to say, which is that, like, yeah, if Bernie loses, I think he will, like, I think it was probably because that was just a rejection of his platform and his policies by most of the voting people in this country.
But do you think that they actually understand fully, or do you think that it's simply
there's definitely a
for Obama's
effort.
right-hand guy? You know, like, do you think that it's more of that? Well, you know, he was his guy, and we liked him, so...
Most people are low-information voters, and, you know, some people do want a return to that. I mean, it sounds silly and ridiculous to me, and a lot of people don't understand it, but hey, you know, it is what it is. And even though there is a very kind of deliberate effort to intentionally, I think, not understand what Bernie's trying to do and the points that we're making. I still don't.
So, but you don't think that the DNC or the media, because what the media, how they just kind of, it seems like really targeted Bernie in the last few months. Like once they see that it's becoming much more of a threat, it seems like they're personally going after him and spreading misinformation about the tax rates, like that, saying that everybody's going to be taxed 52%.
And
go ahead.
Over 29,000 whatever. Yeah, I saw that ridiculous shit. Yeah, no, it's undeniable that there's been there has been this concerted effort to blunt that momentum. And that does suck to see, but I don't think we know how much of course they're not working for us in our favor. And frankly, nobody owes us anything either. I think it's up to everyone to kind of spread that around and do that. But yeah, no, I'm just kind of trying to take the most detached, sober look at this and be ready for whatever outcome might come. And it's God, it is just whew, I'm trying not to get caught up in any one thing, because even while we're doing this, the rest of the world's kind of a disaster right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but my God, man.
Let's go ahead and shift it on over to the good things that are going on in the world.
Let's bring it back up. Let's bring it back up. All right.
So what the fuck have you been up to? Besides fretting about this kind of stuff, what has been going on? I know that you've got another job now, and you've been working at that for a good while. How's that going?
Oh, that's going good, man. It's been I think surprisingly, I really miss this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's surprisingly therapeutic. It's sometimes you get it, and there are just some days when the world just fucking gets you down. And I know those are hard because I have to kind of talk when I am genuinely very sad. And some days that does happen. But no, to be up here and to just talk to you, fucking bounce some ideas off and get it out there, and then also just fuck around and not talk about this stuff. I mean, that is it's what I needed. So I am very glad to be back. And now, unfortunately, the job is going good, but I use some of the equipment for the podcast over there, and I left my goddamn mic stand at work and didn't realize it until right before we started rolling. So I am here holding the mic with one hand, talking and trying to operate everything else with the other. And luckily, I've been practicing for this moment since I was 14. I'm pretty good at operating this shit. So yeah, man. No,
holding the mic like a Neanderthal over there.
Exactly.
What is this kind of
one-handed, baby?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you been up to, man? What has your month off been like?
Well, it's kind of a lot of the same, but different in the way that I feel, and that is because I don't know if I can't even remember if I had brought it up the last time that we were on, and I'm not, I don't know. I guess I'm just saying this because, as you mentioned, it's kind of therapeutic to come on here and just kind of talk about what's going on in our life, as it's our sort of our journal, and I have not had a drink in over 2 months now. So, and that's perhaps the longest time that I've gone since I've been 21. Yeah, I actually do think that is the longest amount of time that I've gone since the age of 21 without a drink. And I am normally, when doing something like this, it was planned with a deadline. So it was either a month or 2 months just happened to be the max. But I don't have any intention of going back right now. It's kind of just an open I'm going for as long as I can because of how much I've seen it make a difference. And it actually, like, really didn't even, it wasn't as apparent until I really thought about it, like, today. I was thinking, like, you know, because there's so much, I have so much further to go toward, before I feel the way that I want to feel. You know, there's a lot of other things beyond alcohol that need to be cut out and things that need to be implemented for me to feel as good as I want to be, as good as I know that I can feel, right? You know, implementing good habits.
But,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, but don't diminish that, man. That is incredible, man. Congratulations.
No.
on
Yeah,
all that.
I was going to get to the point that that when I thought about it, you know, because for a little bit there I was thinking like, well, what has really changed? You know, I'm still lethargic sometimes. I'm still, you know, overweight. I'm still low energy, blah blah blah. But one of the things, the major differences that I've noticed is that depression has kind of gone away. It doesn't exist anymore, and that's also because I don't. You know, there's one other thing, and I don't think I need to mention what that thing is, but I think that most people would get an idea of what that is. That kind of is usually with my drinking correlated with that. You know, it's kind of like you don't need one if you don't need the other. And so both of those things combined, taking out of the equation, have left me feeling a lot less depressed on a day-to-day basis. So I don't wake up with, you know, just dreadful thoughts. And, you know, it really actually is, it's amazing. You know, I'm much more positive. I have, I don't know, like it's just, yeah, I feel that it's really good because one of the bigger fears that I've always had when trying to decide to do this, or, you know, trying to really force myself to stop was that, well, it's so much a part of the culture and the lifestyle that I belong to, you know, trying to do stuff as an entertainer or an artist and being around, you know, just people who are, it's always a social setting and it's always something that helps alleviate the stress and the anxiety of being in a crowd and really helps you just kind of express yourself freely. You know, I realized that I don't need this for that. Mind you,
Fuck yeah.
I've gone up on the weed smoking a lot, and I finally kind of reached just like this last weekend, the point where I'm like, okay, now it's time to pull this back too. So today I've only taken a couple hits today, whereas like, dude, when I was drinking and doing everything, I could get a gram of weed and it would probably last me over a week and a half or whatever, just, you know, little pinches here and there. And since I stopped drinking, I was like going through an eighth every other day because it's just shit. You know, I replaced one thing with the other. Obviously it's still not as bad, you know, for you, and but it still can be, it's still obviously something that I'm relying on as a crutch. And
well, I think that's how people get out of that situation. They steer themselves out of it. You
got to wean yourself off.
You got to take steps down.
Yes, absolutely. And so I think that like now, you know, everything else that's going on and seeing, I don't know, it's just like the manifestations are still, you know, coming in, you know, to fruition because I'm pursuing, I've been building up my, you know, a lot of the stuff that I was selling musically, like gear and everything, I should have kept, but I'm like reaccumulating a lot of these things so that I could finally do what I've been saying that I want to do for a while, and that's kind of get my own solo projects going musically and learning the things that I need to learn that I've been kind of just daunted by, which is like the technical aspect of things. You know me, you know that I'm not good tech savvy whatsoever, like understanding programs, like even with art I don't like know how to run programs efficiently, like it just intimidates the fuck out of me and I kind of shut down. But I'm like, you know, slowly integrating into that realm, and I'm excited for the things that are going to come, you know, and it's definitely motivating me to just kind of make these positive and healthy changes for myself without worrying about, oh, you know, how's it going to be at this place when I'm not drinking, or, you know, am I going to be able to be my real genuine self, like, or, you know, am I going to be able to be as weird and as fun and as ridiculous as I want? And the answer is yes. Like, just go fucking do it. Like, you know, you don't need these things to make you feel that way. Just get out there and fucking do it.
Fuck yeah, man. It's amazing to hear, man. I fucking like weird as I always hesitate to say it, but like I'm proud of you, man. That's fucking sick.
Thank you.
And it sounds like that is some shit that can also start to, you direct all that energy that was going towards right now smoking weed, but like that, it starts to get into once you get that snowball, the ball rolling of learning this shit and getting better at it. And I think that would probably happen pretty quickly. Like how much you see that improvement, and then you almost like that almost becomes the new kind of obsession, the way to scratch that itch. I get that, and like at the end of the day, you just take it one step at a time, man. You can learn this shit. Like it's not hard. You're 90% of the way there because you got all the fucking fundamentals down.
Yeah, that's the thing, is recognizing, using what you know, and then just kind of going from there and building up. And I'm more confident now than I ever was before at like claiming myself as an artist. I've gotten out, I think, to 4 different events in the past couple weeks that I did live art at. And normally I would refrain from trying to do it, man, because live art was not my thing, because I would always be like the type that would want to drink and go socialize and talk to people. But I've been able to, since not doing that, just be able to like still socialize and network and talk to people and actually be productive on the canvas or paper or whatever I'm doing. And I've taken up, still have just as many projects as ever for some other people. In the last month that we've taken a break, I've done an EP, a track cover for Connor for Circadian Riff, for his for his release. It was called Siren Head. So I did like a really cool illustration for that, and I've been asked to do several other things, and I've been putting a lot of energy and thought into Lost in the Sauce, which is coming up in April, the last weekend of April. And as I created the design for the t-shirt last year, that we were selling like those shirts and everything with like the space frogs like in the sea of sauce and those little monsters.
Yes.
I've gone now and created, like, I've started to build this universe, like an actual story, and I'm really excited about it because it is essentially like, building up to creating my own cartoon universe, with these actual characters, with a timeline and all of these things that does somehow tie into loosely the Mutate universe. There's a storyline behind Mutate, the other event that I've been doing, which is coming back also in April 4th. We're coming back from our break for that, and I'm super excited about that. We've got a lot of, with that, the level up that we're going to be experiencing because of the momentum we've gained from, just all of the other productions and being able to document it. And now that we're going into it with like the Fungineers, it's going to add like a whole other experience, a level of experience for this. And it's really excited to see how we're carrying it over into our own other small little festival. Because like this time, as opposed to last year was a great experience for learning, but this year it makes more sense for what the Lions Den are doing. We're actually going to be like creating like a kind of like a jive joint-ish sort of like area where you can go and relax and hang out, and there's just going to be weird performances and like different like open mics and different things you could do there, but in a very theatrical, immersive way that somehow ties into the story and the theme of the whole shebang.
Of Mutate. Yeah. Oh man, that sounds like my Jimmy Jam, son.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be really fun. Not to mention the level of production for both stages is gonna go up tremendously, and Riley, who we've had on before, Substorm, is going to be there with the second stage that they're bringing out these battle axes. They're bringing out like 12 subs, bass boss subs. And so that second stage,
I would normally think that's like the colloquial term for like something I don't know, but thinking about it again, I'm like, there's actually a decent chance you might literally mean battle axes.
there, there definitely could be some battle, pretend battle, something for our LARPing, because I think we're gonna plan something for that. But no, I mean like actual sub speakers, because as we might have mentioned, I don't know if we did or not, because when Riley was on last, he nor Kevin had the job at Bass Boss, but they have since been working for Bass Boss, which is an up and coming speaker or sound system company that I mean, at the NAMM show when I was there, they stole the show on the floor. They definitely were they had the most people out checking them out during their demo, and they're just an amazing sound system. And so we've got that as an additional system to the Hennessy sound system, which is going to be at the bottom. So this place is going to be fucking loud. Like it's going to be.
I may be a layperson, but I know enough people who know what the fuck they're talking about, and I've picked up enough to know that sounds like some serious fucking sound.
Right, and I'm doing such an injustice to explaining this because I'm not a speakerhead. I'm not even really as much in the know with all this stuff. But I will say that just from the standpoint of somebody who's behind the scenes putting on everything else, that this is truly turning into something fucking quite amazing, man. And I'm really proud and happy to be about it, and I'm so stoked that I had the opportunity through Fuzzy Puddles to even, be considered to come out and do this, and to have so many other people who are willing to donate their time into putting the time and money, because let's be real, we don't really have a budget, but we are. To me, it speaks volumes when we have so many people who are willing to spend their own time and hard-earned money into coming out and providing an experience for other people, because for us, seeing other people experience something that we created is just completely worth every penny of that, and every hour. So I'm just over the moon about this event, and I definitely am going to keep pushing this as we keep going further. April, the 420 weekend, well, it's actually 420 would be on the Monday, so Easter weekend is going to be the weekend. You guys should all get out to Apple Valley. That's all I'm going to say, because it is a secret location still, but it is a dope ass location, and you got to come out and fucking rock out with us. It's a bass music event, but there will be lots of house. There's also the Double Down people coming out. That's our friends from K Tribe, Kaleidoscope. They've been doing a lot of stuff with several other house music, like Dirty Bird aficionados in the area, from the LA and Southern California area, and they've been putting together this thing called the Double Down, which is basically just like
it's the chicken breast on top and then the mashed potatoes in the middle, right?
Yeah. No, it's really cool though. They actually got a write-up about this in after Dirty Bird, and they took out the dome, and they basically had a casino, like a little running casino in there with the DJs playing and stuff. And so they're bringing their whole thing out to
in the dome.
Well, they had it in the dome, yes, but now they're going to be using something else other than the dome, because we all know that the dome is a fucking bitch to set up. Yeah. So, but it's going to be fucking rad, dude. Yeah.
That sounds awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I can't help but fucking see the comparison, the similarities there between what you were talking about just a bit ago with how your sobriety has kind of spawned all these new kind of great feelings going on here. And I would say I almost had the thought to myself, man, you should almost journal or something, be writing through the whole process, just to have a marker for how you're doing, because it's easy to forget how we felt in a moment, or even misremember certain feelings on things, and to think, damn, everything that you're talking about now with Mutate, Lost in the Sauce, these all started years ago.
Yeah.
And you guys kept pushing and and doing the stuff, and it's getting bigger, it's getting the attention. You guys are carving out kind of your own niche and speaking in your very unique voice. And I mean, to see you guys like, you know, harvesting more and more of the fruits of that is fucking dope, dude.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you say that because I actually have, and it probably also has to do with the fact that I'm a little bit more clear-headed, from not partying and staying out as much and recovering each day, to where I actually do take more notes than I've ever taken before. For some reason, I've never been good at taking physical notes, because mental notes are just, everything's been mental, because the act of writing something down and then later on,
And you've convinced yourself that works.
yeah, like convincing myself that makes more of an effort to go back and try to search for something that I wrote down when I could probably just remember it in my head. It's a thing of laziness and anxiety just bundled up together that just prevents you from doing this. But I've definitely done a much better job at taking notes and just writing. Like, I was listening to actually the podcast, which probably the only podcast I listened to, and it was super random. Of course, it wasn't like I'm like, oh, I'm going to go listen to the Joe Rogan podcast today, but it just happened to be one of the videos on YouTube, and I was reading a Chuck Palahniuk book called Rant, which I've read pretty much most of his books. If you do not know who Chuck Palahniuk is, he's the author of Fight Club and so many other great books.
And
well, it
Choke.
was a Choke, yep. So many other, yeah, amazing writer. Definitely one of the best writers of our time, and in my opinion anyway. And
No, I agree.
I, was like interested because I had never really seen an interview with him or anything. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this, and just hearing the way he goes about, doing stuff. And he was like, because a lot of people, when it comes to writing their ideas out or even journaling, documenting things, like, some people have their methods of recording with like a tape recorder, so they could like just go back and listen to it. But I've done that before, and it doesn't really work for me. And like, I thought about, well, I should always have a computer with me. He's like, no, that's what you do when you're on the plane. Typing things out is what you're on the plane. Like, he's like, you just gotta just write, just write really sloppy and crazy. Just go and just start writing things down. Just write your story just as it comes to you, like you said. So you don't forget it. Just go ahead and put it in there, and then as long as you know where your book is, you could go back and like just look through it later, and then you go and do the finessing. Then you go and do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been the type of person, even with visual art, that I've had to learn about the process, and that's the most important thing. The process that you go through. Like, it's not going to be just wham, you just throw it onto the paper, or you write it out, or you onto the canvas, whatever it is that you're doing like that. There's generally a process, and I've learned that with art, whereas I used to be so intimidated because I thought, I got to make this one sheet as I go at it perfect, and I didn't like eraser marks and all this stuff. But you realize, whoa, that's not what you do. You got to sketch out the idea first, and then you got to fine tune it by tracing certain parts of it, and finally put it down, and then know what stages you're gonna layer these things with. And it's kind of the same thing with writing.
It's
Go ahead.
yeah, it's that process. It's the work that goes into like starting something and starting to learn it, and then like acknowledging finally like how little you might ultimately know, and then taking those steps, those unavoidable steps, to like create a process and actually make it to be like the product that you're proud of.
Exactly.
Ultimately.
Exactly. Everybody's got their own fine tunings to their own process. It's like anything else, to develop a sound as a musician, like people have signature sounds, and that's because they've spent years and years of failing or fucking around with different ones and kind of figuring it out which one is theirs. And that's ultimately, as an artist, what you want to go for, is having your work be recognizable by a signature sound or look or whatever, a signature design. People can just tell that it's you. And yeah, that's kind of where
cultivating that voice is just something that comes with practice.
Yeah.
And something that comes with oftentimes, and I see it so much, and I see it in myself and I see it in other people, But so much of it is us and our brains just kind of trying to talk us out of doing the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like thinking, oh, okay, this is it. You know, like the holdups that you have. Your brain just has this fantastic capacity of lying to you
Right.
into doing the path of least resistance, and that's the thing
Right.
that we never really like escape. You gotta always be like ready for that to fucking tap you on the shoulder because it's gonna be there.
And it's
you
so
know?
ridiculous, though, because of the fact that what we have available to us is resources. I mean, like, I'm freezing up over here because I got, this. I was talking to you before about this, but I just purchased from a friend RC300 Boss Looper, which is, for people who don't know what that is just a machine that can loop sounds for you from whatever instrument you want to play through it, so that you can, as a solo performer, perform full-on songs that you completely designed by yourself. And so this is just like a first step that's not very advanced in any way whatsoever, but it's still daunting to me because I don't know. I'm just, as I mentioned, bad with technology, but YouTube is right there. Like, my television is right here. I can literally plug this in, play around with it, and just watch all of these free videos that people are going out of their way to explain to you what you can do. It doesn't get any easier than that, really. You just got to
Really.
do it.
We live at extraordinary times.
Right.
We really do, man.
Right, so at this point, I can't be making these excuses anymore. It's nobody's fault but mine if I don't learn how to do it. And at the end of the day, if you really want to learn something, you're gonna learn it. You're gonna take and do what it takes to learn it. You're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, and it's also on that same the concave, whatever fucking word I was trying to say. The opposite of that too is that, like, if you really do want to do it, you'll learn it. And I think the scary part of that is that sometimes people realize, oh, maybe I didn't really want to do it.
Yeah,
that is the other side of that. You gotta choose to do right and follow that and see how you feel on the other end. Because, like, let me ask you, when was the first time you had the daydream of doing something like this?
Something like what? Are you talking about in a very
like getting a
general, broad
looper,
sense?
like getting a looper, doing a show over there. Like, even if it wasn't exactly that, there was probably some spark of the idea. But, like, when did that first hit?
Well, that's kind of difficult to say because my whole life growing up, I would imagine, being like have those crazy
That's
fantasies.
the answer right there. That's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
Like, so many of us do that.
Yeah.
You play around with that idea in your head. You look at people. You look at some of the incredible shit that, like, Reggie Watts does. And I'm not gonna tell you I didn't, like, have that thought, like, fuck, that would be cool. Oh man, that would be fun. Like, I could learn that.
Right.
But also, me knowing with myself, like, that is not really my calling. I don't think I'm going to end up doing that, as fun as that would be,
Well, nature will weed the stuff that's not for you out anyway. It's just like you're saying, like, if it really was meant, I don't know, if it's meant to be and you really want to do it, you're going to do it. And you can't, we might have the curiosity or even the sort of zeal to try and do these things. We want to do them, and we might really, really want to do them, but at the end of the day, like, you can't do everything. You physically can't do everything, not all at once anyways. Maybe through a long spread out period of time you could try a bunch of things, and I think that's ultimately what I do. But for it to be your calling, and the beautiful thing about this though is that because this is the hard part for me as a person that still has not, quote unquote, figured out what I'm going to do. I never figured out what I'm going to do because people ask, well, what's your goal? What are you trying to do? And it really comes down to me just wanting to do all of these things that I've had those adolescent dreams of doing, like be a musician, be an actor, do everything you can do them, and somehow find a way to tie them together because we have the resources to do that now. You can create your own, media outlet if you want to by just doing all of these things, having it set up a certain way and figuring out how to record it and put it out there for the world to see.
We live in the only time in history where you could independently kind of effectively do all that.
Right. There, exactly. I mean, as I talk to my friends, it's funny how some people really don't understand how things have changed completely. Like, and not to belittle or make fun of, but people are just kind of living in the past when it's like, no, dude, like that's, like back in the day, you had to have a record label recognize you and discover you for you to like ever have a chance at getting anywhere in the music industry, because that's what they did. There were agencies, and there still are, but it's not as big of a thing as it was before because there's so much self-broadcasting out there, and people can eventually gain enough followers and likes and everything to move themselves up to a certain point and then get signed or whatever. But it really there was like a lot of competition, and music was molded into certain categories. Like there were definitely a lot less of a variety of music because it was like these companies figured out what sold, and they would try to mold you. Even if you came in and you had talent, they would still try to mold you to a certain thing. So then your artistic liberties were kind of taken away, and so it wasn't really you just being able to do exactly what you wanted to do. And now that's not the case, and the same thing with film, and the same thing with just about any form of art that you're trying to do. And so it's just funny when people still kind of like go down the path.
They wait for permission. They wait for somebody to tap on the shoulder and tell them, hey, it's time.
Yeah, or hey, you're good enough now. Like, this is, you're, I don't know, it's just...
Without fully accepting that, like, oh, shit, everybody who is in the place that I want to be, they just showed up. They put themselves there and are very much waiting, just like they would be, for the person to tap them on the shoulder and be like, hey, come on, you knew this wasn't real. There's this imposter syndrome is so pervasive throughout literally everything. Any feat that anybody's like ever ascribed to, there's somebody, there's multiple people, probably most people on the other end that are saying like, I don't feel like I'm living up to this idea of this thing in my head. Yeah. And to acknowledge that everybody has that is super freeing. I mean, we've talked about that so much, but you just putting yourself there. And I mean, I think that is one thing that I watch you do all the time, and I knew so many people who think about something. It's an idea, and then it just kind of goes away, and then it's like, okay, what are you doing anything to achieve that? Yeah. And I wrestle with that shit myself too. I talk like I don't have this same fucking issue, you know, and I totally do. And this is something that I need to fucking, that question rings very strongly to me, especially now, kind of going into an era where I'm not sure where the clear move is to kind of catch the nebulous like thing that I wanted to do with my life. This is maybe one of the more the most uncertain about what that path looks like, and I got to really start to like put some effort in to actually sit down and go, okay, how do I do this? Where do I go? What do I Google? And not just wait for the inspiration to strike or for the opportunity to tap my lap, because I know that's not coming,
Right.
And that's for a lot of people going on right now, but that's fucking that you have the you're pursuing this shit, man, and like really going for it, and to get rid of all the distractions and the interference in your way to like what's doing that. I mean, that's a super positive thing, man. That's inspiring. That's fucking it's got me over here like, oh shit, a little pumped up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and to be clear, it's like I still couldn't tell you exactly what it is because it's still being formed, but the idea is to keep going and keep working. And the idea is to also understand that now more than ever before, it is a lot of work. It's more work, you know, it's more of a grind, because you're going to have to be, even though the opportunities are there, that makes the, I guess you would, competition. I don't like the word competition because it shouldn't be about the competition, but it's more.
We unfortunately always still live in a brutal capitalist society that does make, that does measure the value of these things by how much money it can generate, and
Sure.
that is, that's a bummer,
Competition.
because there
Yeah.
is so much fucking to be gained and learned, and so much passion to find in this stuff, even if it never makes a goddamn dollar.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I feel at least happy and I feel accomplished in the sense that I've been going at it this long, even without knowing exactly what it is that I supposedly am going to do, that I've remained, productive and busy at just learning and accumulating knowledge, resources, and just, know that it's going to pay off. Like, knowing that with everything that has come and kind of seemingly fallen into my lap, realizing that actually was because I manifested this, stuff that I said
That was the product
that I
of your
wanted
work,
to do.
yeah.
And so knowing that that's going to continue is a beautiful thing. And so it's still the reason why I'm not completely freaked out and lost my mind that I'm in the financial states that I'm in, or whatever. So
Well, look, I would trade your experiences, in a heartbeat, like, rather than, be somebody who did not ever really pursue this shit. It's like, oh, cool, your calling was definitely,
yeah.
sales for, financial packages and shit. It's like, yeah, I can't imagine just setting the bar so
Right.
low for yourself, and then never really expressing yourself through that. Like,
Which
I would
is-
take
yeah.
those more interesting choices
Mm-hmm.
any day of the week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's exactly also why I want to say to anybody who is listening that if you feel that you might have taken that alternate, or that straight and narrow path to kind of non-exciting things, and you find yourself wondering, like, wow, what could I have done? It is not too late. That is another thing, there was that's different than it was in the past, that you have to somehow be this young, poppy, vigorous young thing to let your art get out there, or pursue your passions or whatever. No, that's what this whole show is about. It's about people like us who are grinding it out and doing our 9-to-5s and hustling on the side to make ends meet, but like continuously doing this out of love for the craft or whatever it is that we're doing. And
and not giving into the cynicism of like, oh, well, it's an effort, so maybe I just won't.
yes.
And that, yeah, I mean, I really couldn't, like, just like quitting for the sake of quitting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because at this point I can't.
Yeah.
I don't see a finish line anywhere, and I'm happy about that. I can't imagine just not trying. And this is perhaps a reason why not that I've been looking in any way, but people are always like, why aren't you with somebody, or do you date? It's like, no, that is like the furthest away from this. Not saying that people that are in relationships can't do this, but like for me, if it's not on my radar already and I have all these other things, I'm just like, unless that person is going to elevate me and we can elevate each other, they have something going on that they're passionate about, that they are striving for, and it doesn't conflict. There's no time constraints that would prohibit me, because sadly I've seen this happen, and I see it happen a lot. I see people kind of falling like flies, and sure, they're happy in one area, but it's like, man, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you had these dreams, and it's kind of been taken over by the things that come, because I've been there. I have been in relationships, and my relationships have always been, that's the primary focus, like that's what you do. You come in and you go back and go home and you're with them, and you go to their, it's like right now I'm being selfish because I can't, I can't afford to give up
no
what I'm working
reason
on.
For you to compromise.
Yeah,
on that.
I don't.
Why would
yeah,
you?
Right. I think that if it's going to work, in the long term, it should be a thing of understanding that you guys want each other to succeed and be happy. And I think that anybody who's ever going to try to, if anybody is ever going to try to take a chance at this fucking, hard working mess, that they kind of have to know what they're getting into, up front. And, yeah, that's,
and don't just never, you don't have to give up that North Star of who you are and what you're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so, but yeah, that's it comes around to everybody out there that's listening. It's not too late for you to do those things that you dreamed about doing as a child. There has never been a better time than right now to do all of these things, to get out there and make your wildest dreams come true.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Shit. So as we're coming to the end here, we talked about a lot of actually. I really we sprinkled some plugs all through this one, but let's wrap them back up and put them in a nice little bow at the end here.
Yes.
We got
yes.
Lost in the Sauce coming up.
Yes, Lost in the Sauce is the weekend of Easter weekend, so it's going to be April 17th through the 19th. And that is definitely the big one to look out for. We have Mutate coming back on April 4th with the Fungineers and Vibe Squad, who has come out. This is the second time out of retirement that I've seen him perform now. So that's pretty freaking cool. If you don't know Vibe Squad, you just got to come out and vibe with Vibe Squad because he's fucking dope. And so there's that. We got Art in the Park coming up March 22nd. It is going to be the last Art in the Park until May. So I guess there's just going to be none in April due to events like crazy.
Lost in the Sauce.
It's Lost in the Sauce, but it's literally stacked
And
every week.
coronavirus.
Yes, and the Modelo virus too. No, but it is April is just for festivals. It is just ridiculously stacked. So we're not even we're taking that off. People made it apparent to us that you could take breaks every once in a while. Yeah, we could.
Yeah,
but
you're allowed to.
we just love it so much. We love the community, and we love seeing the consistency and the new faces that come out. I think I really want to congratulate everybody in the Lion's Den, as well as Kaleidoscope and all of the people who generally come out to Art in the Park, because this last one was really a milestone for me, because even though the turnout wasn't anything out of the ordinary, it was something that everything went according to schedule and plan, which it usually never does.
What the fuck?
Yeah, we had everything that we needed.
Genuinely shocking.
We started on time with the music, and it ended on time, and there was a good amount of art going on. It was just,
and it only took 3 years of practice.
Almost, yeah, damn near, And so, also meeting a couple other people. There's another organization that is basically doing the same thing that Art in the Park does, but they do it at a really dope property out in Anaheim Hills. And so I am going to be I went to one event with at their place this last Saturday, and there is another one coming up on the day before Art in the Park, March 21st. It's a poetry thing, and I'm also painting at B-Side LA, their 5-year anniversary on the 26th. And then the weekend of the 27th, there is Vivid Resonance and SoCal Psych Out, 2 events that I'm going to somehow manage to make an appearance at on the same weekend after I do the B-Side LA event. So I am spreading myself thin once more, but I think that I'm well equipped to do so, given that I am not, I'm going into it with a different state of mind. So yeah,
just taking a break and all the poison.
Yes,
Gives you a little bit more energy, keeps you sharp.
Yes,
oh,
yes.
Man.
So
That is an intimidating schedule there. I
Yeah.
didn't get to write all that down. My God, that's awesome.
it's all
I'll have to
good.
listen to this
man.
again.
Yeah, it's all good. So we hope to have you guys out for all of these events, and stay tuned.
And you know what we would really love as a welcome back gift leading
Yes.
up to our 100th episode is for you guys to, of course, subscribe to this show however you get your podcasts, whether that be your Apples, your Stitchers, your Swishers, your Spotifys, and your Toodle-Doos, all those things. Get us into your ears every Thursday. We are back, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to us on social media. That is at Let It Bleedcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you are looking for me, you can watch me live tweet the very quick moving descent into authoritarianism and global pandemics and all the fun stuff. Oh, it is my job just to make everybody sad. On Twitter at Phil Nobody Cares, and then you can flip that around for Instagram at Nobody Cares Phil. Finally, for you, my friends, what do you got?
Yeah, well, you could go ahead and follow the Lion's Den. Just find us on Facebook, like and follow our page to keep up with all the events. That's Psychedelic Lion's Den. Instagram is a great place to come and check out all the art from our homies and local artists and just people that are like mine. That's psychedelic_lions_den. And then you can find me on the gram at Hoodrat Stuff with 3 Fs. Thinking about starting a TikTok for my new frog. I have a frog puppet I posted a video of him soloing on the piano to Riders on the Storm. Posted it on my page, got like 4 likes. Posted it on a frog spawning page. Whoa! Someone said I cured their depression. So I definitely am going to be bringing this Funkmaster Frog back into the mix for more videos. Thinking about TikTok, but I'm not sure because I don't even know what the fuck it is still. People have tried to explain it and I don't get it, but
I still have not put in the work to really understand what that is either, but fuck you for waiting until this moment to bring that up. I have so many questions and no time.
We'll talk
you
about
asshole.
it. We'll talk about it on the next one for sure.
Well,
once
I
get a
know
couple more
I know
videos
what
out.
I'm fucking, Googling or looking up the second we get off of here.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, yeah, that's about all I've got. I mean, thank you all for tuning in. We hope that you all got out and voted today or 2 days ago. Go Bernie.
We'll know soon.
All right, guys, let it bleed.
Yeah, it's us.